Hey everyone, let's work on the salary calculator. So here we have the salary calculator. We have a couple of variables that we need to define: the hourly rate, the number of hours in the week, the state tax rate, and the federal tax rate. And then we have a bunch of information to basically calculate. And then here is just an example of all of it fully output. So let's see. Let's just go ahead and do this one at a time. I'm going to start by making our main method. Now I have a bunch of things that I need to declare and define. So why don't we go ahead and define all of the main things I need? I guess we'll also be using kind of these rates as a base. So let's see. Let's maybe copy this just so that we can have a quick access to it here. So this is probably all going to be, since we're relating to money, the idea is around money. Let's just use a double for them. And so I'll make them all double types. I'll start with the hourly rate. And we're going to just define 50 for that. I'll put a comma so that I can declare multiple here. I'll declare the weekly hours. I'm going to define that as 45. The state tax rate is going to be 6. And the federal tax rate will be 26. Okay, so I defined a bunch of double variables ready for me to use. And next I have a couple more variables, but these are also kind of going to be based on some calculations. So first thing I need to do is figure out what is my base salary just before there's any kind of tax applied to it. Right, so let's go ahead and define those variables now here. And again, I could have declared all of these in one type like this. All 4 of these variables are double types here, and I just put them on separate lines for readability. But they're just separated by commas, right? I could have also declared them here, but I need to kind of do calculations for all of them as well, so that's why I'm just separating them. So first thing I want to do is figure out that salary, but I want to figure out the salary before any of the tax is applied. So let's see what my calculation for that will be. If we think about it, my salary total would probably be based on my hourly rate. So I'll put hourly rate. And then so whatever hourly rate we have to multiply by that by how many hours we actually work. So basically our weekly hours. And the one thing that it's not immediately kind of actually telling you here that we have to consider is that I want the salary. So I'm doing this basically for the whole year. That means that I have an hourly rate and the number of hours I worked in the week. That's for 1 week, right? The number of hours I worked and then how much I would get paid based on those hours. I want the total salary, which is basically the whole year. So I'm actually going to multiply 52. Okay, that is one part that if you didn't think about it too much, you may have skipped. But this is a salary, so normally the salary is considered as a yearly kind of value. So I needed to make sure to multiply by 52. All right. Next up, let's go ahead and calculate my basically state tax and federal tax, like how much it's going to take. So I'll make a double variable. We'll start with the state tax. And in order to figure out the state tax, I'm basically going to take my salary, whatever I have. So that's my salary before any taxes. And then I'm going to multiply it by the tax rate. Now, if you take a look here, it told me that these numbers were basically given as percentages. So I want to consider the 6 to be basically 6%. And so I want to multiply in order to find the state tax, I need to multiply this number by 6%. The way that I can do that is taking 6 and then dividing it by 100. So that'll help me to convert it to a decimal number. Okay. I guess it's warning me here. Oh, and actually we have one problem. I just hard-coded this, right? So that's probably why I'm getting this warning as well. I actually want the salary, the rate here, not just base. So I went ahead and copied that and pasted it here. So Before I was doing 6 hard-coded. Remember, I need to do this dynamic. So if this variable was updated, then it should also reflect in the result. So again, this dividing by 2 is basically helping me to convert from the number 6 to the actual percentage, 6%. Let me write that here, 6%. Then let's go ahead and figure out the federal tax rate as well. Not the rate, but we know the rate actually. I'm actually calculating now how much total amount of money is going to be taken away from my salary. So the federal rate will be same thing. I'm going to start with my base salary in the year, and then I'm going to multiply it by the federal tax rate. But again, I need to do this conversion here. So I'm going to divide by 100. I'm going to make sure that this calculation happens first, although if we think about it, maybe that wouldn't matter. But I just want to verify that this is properly being calculated. I'm going to make sure to do the percentage calculation first, then multiply the salary. And then just to represent that as well, I'm going to represent that this is basically 6%. All right, so now that I have my tax rates for both, next up I wanted to know the total tax as well. So basically combining how much total amount of money was taken away from me from taxes. So that'll just be state tax plus federal tax. That's all we should need to do for that. We already calculated the tax amounts, so I'm just going to add both of those values. And then I guess we have one last variable to check, which is my salary after tax. So far I have my salary before tax, and I've been calculating all these taxes here. Because I already calculated the total tax here, I don't need to reuse these for now. I can just use those in the output. So in order to calculate my salary after tax, all I need to do is actually just take my salary before tax and then subtract the total tax amount that was already reduced here. I already calculated it here. So I think I have everything that I want to. The only thing left for me to do is output in this format. So again, I'm just going to copy this, put it up here for a quick reference. So let's start outputting. So I'll say output. The first thing is gross pay. So my gross pay is basically the salary before the tax. It's how much money I'm supposed to get, but there's taxes that need to be coming out of it. So that's going to be my gross pay. Then I'm going to go ahead and put the federal tax amount. This is going to be the actual amount, not the rate. So that's this calculation that I've done here. So the federal tax is, I guess we can say is here. It seems like they were saying is. Okay, so the federal tax is, and then I'm going to concatenate the variable of the federal tax rate. Next up, we have the state tax rate. So the state tax is, and we will concatenate our amount of the, let's see, state tax. Ooh, not rate. Let's be careful with our variables, right? I put rate here. I actually want this variable, state tax. Right, so I want the actual tax amount, not the rates that I declared in the beginning. Then we have how much total tax, basically the combined of them. So this is going to be my total tax is, and that's going to be whatever amount that is, so total tax. And lastly, we have one last thing to show, which is my net income, so how much I'm actually going to get after taxes. And my net income is the salary after tax. One more thing I may want to do, all of these seem to have a dollar sign. So if I do want to show a dollar sign, just before the string ends, I can add a dollar sign right here. And if I do that, then a dollar sign will actually be shown in the output. That part is not really necessary. It's just a part of concatenation anyway. So it's showing the dollar sign as a character, but if you did want it, you can add that. So according to my values here, this is what I get. If I have so according to these rates, if I work for $50 an hour and I work 45 hours every week, my base salary is going to be basically $117,000. From there, with the federal rate of 26%, I'm going to be paying 30% in taxes, or like 30,000 in taxes. The state at a 6% would only give 7,000 tax, and so total I'm paying $37,000 of taxes, quite a lot. But then the net pay would be 79, almost 80,000 for the total year. So you can mess around with these values, right? You can change them up. For example, normally you wouldn't work, if you're working full time, you'd be working 40 hours a week. So we can rerun the calculation based on that, and we'll get some slightly different numbers, but you can basically mess around with those numbers to see how they'll change. That should be it for this one.